Hello and welcome to IAMC Radio and Podcast. Let's explore the top news headlines today, February 12th.
Okay.
We got a lot to cover. From security concerns in Nigeria to political maneuvering in the U.S.
Right.
And even some international developments that are sure to raise eyebrows.
It's a packed news day for sure. Let's jump right in.
Okay, let's start in Anambra State, Nigeria,
Okay.
where the Onitsha Traditional Council is raising serious concerns about the safety of their community.
Yeah.
They're directly blaming Governor Chukwuma Soludo's administration for what they see as a growing wave of violence.
And they're not just speaking in general terms.
Right.
They're pointing to specific incidents like the tragic death of lawmaker Justice Suzuka,
Oh, wow.
who was kidnapped in December
Oh, my gosh.
and whose body was just found earlier this month. And they're also highlighting the recent attacks on other prominent figures in Onitsha,
Okay.
like the Commissioner for Youth Development and the chairman of Onitsha North local government.
It sounds like they're saying there's a pattern of violence here.
Right.
And that the government isn't doing enough to protect its citizens. They specifically mentioned a lack of communication and a delayed response from authorities in Azuka's case,
Right.
which adds another layer of concern.
What's particularly striking is the council's call for transparency and accountability. They're demanding answers about the investigations into these crimes and what concrete steps will be taken to prevent future violence.
Yeah.
This really underscores the importance of government officials being open and responsive to the needs and fears of the people they represent.
Now, shifting gears to the U.S.,
Sure.
we're seeing controversy erupt over the issue of gender recognition. The Department of Veterans Affairs is under fire for defying President Trump's executive order that recognizes only male and female genders.
Despite the order, the VA is continuing to list non-binary as an option on their data collection forms.
Really?
This is a bold move that directly challenges the administration's stance on LGBTQ+ issues
Wow.
and raises questions about how the VA will navigate this defiance
Yeah.
and what the potential consequences might be.
It also highlights the ongoing debate surrounding gender identity
Right.
and the complexities of inclusivity within government systems. This is a developing story with potential legal ramifications,
Yeah.
and we'll certainly be keeping a close eye on it.
Speaking of President Trump,
Yeah.
he's making headlines for his decision not to endorse his current vice president, J.D. Vance, for the 2028 election.
Oh.
When asked about his plans, Trump simply said it's too early, but did acknowledge Vance's capabilities.
This has fueled speculation about Trump's future political ambitions
Right.
and whether he might be considering another run for the presidency or if he has other candidates in mind.
It's a classic Trump move, keeping everyone guessing
Right.
and maintaining control of the narrative. By declining to endorse Vance, he's essentially keeping his options open
Yeah.
and leaving the door open for a variety of possibilities.
It definitely adds a layer of intrigue to the already complex world of U.S. politics. Now, in a move that's generating international attention, President Trump has signed an executive order. That effectively halts enforcement of the U.S. law prohibiting bribery of foreign officials.
His justification for this decision is that the law puts American businesses at a disadvantage in the global marketplace. However, this has sparked outrage from anti-corruption groups
Yeah, I bet.
who argue that it undermines the U.S.'s commitment to combating corruption worldwide.
They're concerned that this sends a dangerous message, condoning unethical business practices, and could damage America's reputation on the global stage.
It's a controversial decision
Definitely.
that raises important questions about the balance between economic interests and ethical considerations in international dealings.
This move has far-reaching implications that will likely continue to unfold in the coming months and years. It will be interesting to see how it impacts America's relationships with other countries and its standing in the fight against corruption. Turning our attention to the Middle East,
Okay.
President Trump is taking a hardline stance on the hostage situation in Gaza. He's issued a Saturday deadline for Hamas to release all captives or face serious consequences.
And he's not mincing words. He's threatened to call for the cancellation of the current Israel-Hamas ceasefire and warned that all hell will break out if his demands aren't met. This is a high-stakes gamble that has significantly escalated tensions in the region.
By issuing this ultimatum, Trump is putting immense pressure on Hamas. But it also carries the risk of reigniting conflict if the deadline isn't met.
Right.
The world is watching closely as the situation unfolds, hoping for a peaceful resolution,
Yeah.
but bracing for the potential consequences if negotiations fail.
Now, back in Nigeria,
Right.
we're seeing a shocking development in Edo State. A lawmaker has come forward with information that directly contradicts the official accounts of a recent kidnapping case involving a traditional ruler. Both the police and the Edo State Security Corps claimed responsibility for the ruler's safe return. But the lawmaker alleges that a ransom was paid to secure his release.
If true, this raises serious questions about the integrity and transparency of law enforcement in the region. It suggests that they may not be as effective in combating crime as they claim,
Right.
and casts doubt on their willingness to be truthful with the public. This discrepancy between the lawmaker's statement and the official accounts is deeply concerning
Yeah,
and calls for a thorough and independent investigation into the matter.
absolutely.
It also highlights the importance of holding those in power accountable for their actions and ensuring that justice is served.
Transparency and accountability are crucial for maintaining public trust and ensuring that those responsible for criminal activity are held accountable.
Moving on to a story with international implications, President Trump's recent statement that he would prioritize white South Africans in a U.S. refugee program has sparked a surge of interest from those seeking to relocate. The South African Chamber of Commerce in the U.S. reported that their email server crashed under the weight of over 20,000 inquiries.
This development highlights the deep anxieties among some white South Africans about their future in the country,
Right.
particularly in light of the controversial Land Expropriation Act.
Right.
It also raises questions about the criteria for refugee status and whether Trump's statement constitutes preferential treatment based on race.
This story touches upon complex issues of race, politics, and immigration,
Absolutely.
and it's sure to generate further debate and discussion both domestically and internationally. It'll be interesting to see how this policy develops and what impact it has on both South Africa and the U.S.
It's a situation with far-reaching consequences, and we'll continue to monitor it closely.
Finally, in Katsina State, Nigeria, a medical doctor has been arrested for providing medical treatment to wounded bandits, including a notorious leader with a hefty bounty on his head.
Wow.
The doctor confessed to treating several bandits, raising concerns about the network of support these criminal groups rely on.
This arrest sheds light on the complex web of individuals and resources that contribute to the persistence of banditry.
Right.
It raises questions about complicity and the ethical responsibility of individuals who may be indirectly supporting criminal activity.
It's a reminder that criminal networks often extend beyond the core group of perpetrators, and that disrupting their support systems can be crucial to undermining their operations.
This case highlights the importance of collaboration between security forces, medical professionals, and the community at large to effectively address the issue of banditry and to hold all those involved accountable for their actions. Host speaker. It's a reminder that tackling complex issues like banditry requires a multifaceted approach that addresses not only the criminals themselves, but also the networks that enable them.
It's clear that today's headlines paint a rather complicated picture of the world we live in. We've seen stories of violence and corruption,
Right.
political maneuvering, and social anxieties playing out on both local and global scales.
What's interesting is that despite the geographical and thematic differences between these stories, there are some common threads that connect them. For example, both the outcry from the Onitsha Traditional Council in Nigeria and the lawmakers' revelation in Edo State point to a growing demand for accountability and transparency from those in power.
It seems like citizens are increasingly demanding action, not just words, from their leaders.
Right.
They want to see concrete steps taken to address issues like security, corruption, and injustice.
And this desire for accountability isn't limited to Nigeria. We're seeing it play out in the U.S. as well, with the Department of Veterans Affairs defying President Trump's executive order on gender recognition.
It's a reminder that people are yearning to be seen and heard by their governments, and that institutions are sometimes willing to push back against policies they deem harmful or discriminatory.
This push for accountability and inclusivity extends beyond national borders as well. The international criticism of President Trump's decision to halt enforcement of the anti-bribery law highlights the global implications of U.S. actions.
It's a reminder that we live in an interconnected world, and that decisions made by one country can have ripple effects across the globe.
The story about white South Africans seeking resettlement in the U.S. further underscores this interconnectedness.
Right.
President Trump's statement about prioritizing them in a refugee program has sparked anxieties and raised questions about race, politics, and immigration on both sides of the Atlantic.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah.
But it highlights the global nature of these challenges and the need for thoughtful dialogue and solutions.
As we've delved into these headlines, we've encountered stories that can feel overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But it's in these moments that it's crucial to remember the power of knowledge and understanding.
By engaging with the news critically,
Right.
considering different perspectives, and seeking out reliable information, we can empower ourselves to make sense of the complexities around us.
And hopefully contribute to positive change in our own communities and beyond.
The story about the doctor in Katsina State, who was arrested for treating bandits, brings this point home in a particularly thought-provoking way.
What's fascinating about this case is that it forces us to look beyond the obvious perpetrators of crime and to consider the wider network of individuals who may be complicit.
It raises questions about ethical responsibility and the choices we make, even in complex and challenging situations.
The doctor's actions may have been driven by a desire to help those in need, but they also inadvertently contributed to the operations of a criminal organization.
It's a stark reminder that our choices have consequences, and that even seemingly small actions can have a ripple effect.
This story also highlights the importance of addressing the root causes of crime and violence.
Right.
If banditry is fueled by poverty, lack of opportunity, or other systemic issues, then simply arresting individual criminals won't solve the problem.
We need to look at the bigger picture and consider the social and economic factors that contribute to these issues.
Sustainable solutions require a holistic approach that tackles the underlying causes of crime and violence,
Right.
not just the symptoms.
It's a reminder that understanding the complexities of these issues is essential for finding effective and lasting solutions.
And that understanding begins with informed engagement with the news.
Right?
By staying informed, asking critical questions, and seeking out diverse perspectives, we can equip ourselves to be active participants in shaping a better future.
That's what makes these explorations of current events so valuable.
By engaging with the news together, we can navigate the complexities of our world and empower ourselves to make informed decisions and contribute to positive change.
Today we've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
from local Nigerian politics to international relations, to the complexities of healthcare and criminal networks.
And through it all, we've seen how seemingly disparate events are often connected by underlying themes of accountability, transparency, and the pursuit of justice.
These stories remind us that the world is a complex and interconnected place, and that staying informed and engaged is crucial for navigating the challenges we face.
They also highlight the importance of critical thinking, seeking out diverse perspectives, and holding those in power accountable. And they remind us that even amidst the darkness of corruption, violence, and social unrest, there are individuals and communities working towards a brighter future.
Right.
Their efforts inspire us to remain hopeful and to continue engaging in the hard work of building a more just and equitable world for all.
As we wrap up our exploration of today's top news headlines, we want to leave you with a thought to ponder. We've seen how decisions made by individuals in positions of power can have ripple effects impacting communities and even entire nations.
It's a sobering reminder that each of us, regardless of our position in society, has a role to play in shaping the world around us.
So we ask you, what can you do in your own life to promote accountability, transparency, and justice?
Perhaps it starts with engaging in thoughtful conversations with your friends and family about the issues that matter most.
Maybe it involves volunteering your time or resources to support organizations working for positive change in your community.
Or perhaps it's as simple as staying informed,
Right.
holding your elected officials accountable, and using your voice to advocate for a more just and equitable world.
No matter how small it may seem, every act of courage, compassion, and integrity contributes to building a brighter future.
Thank you for listening to today's top news headlines on IAMC Radio and podcast.